This is a topic that I can spend hours and hours talking about it. And because our human brain is a subject of a lot of studies, we can find a lot of information, a lot of different types of information, tools, and techniques. Because I think that as human beings, we are always trying to understand more how we function, how the machine functions. And we are trying to remove all those layers from our brain to understand more ourselves, to understand more our lives. This is my grain to contribute to this understanding based on my own studies, on books, on my teachings, and also into my own experience. When I guide specifically, when I work with the Theta Healing technique, this technique is based in removing and healing all those beliefs that we have anchored in ourselves. Those beliefs that maybe we are not consciously aware that we have, and that they are there in the subconscious mind, and suddenly something makes them get out, and we don't like sometimes the way they get out. With Theta Healing, we go and dig very deeply. With all the experience as a Theta Healing practitioner on myself, but also through the sessions, I got lots of information that we share as humans, that we share as women, and that we share as moms. I don't want to put people into boxes, but there are things that we can relate to without taking away the part of the individuality of each person and the story of each person. But there are things that are very common that I noticed. Everything that I am sharing here, it's a mix of all this information. Let's go to define which are or why we need to understand the belief system. So the belief systems are all those stories that we tell ourselves to define our personal sense of reality. Is our own film. Let's say that our life, it's our own film and our own creation. And we interpret our life through all that information that we analyze, that we have. That is why our belief system, we consider that is our operating system. Imagine your brain and even your whole body, not only the mind, not only the brain, as this huge PC, no? With this operating system and all this coding, all this information running from one place to another. This is the belief system. And it is there to find meaning, to understand what is happening, to define what is happening outside, to understand the world, but also to understand ourselves. But all the information or the place where we are going to create this perception and this meaning, it's coming from this belief system. Imagine how many ideas, beliefs, experiences we have in this big computer. A lot, and we will dive a little bit more. To go more deep into the purpose of this belief system is to interpret our lives, our feelings, our emotions, connecting points. No, this is happening because this happened before, because, and we associate everything. To know how to react, how to be, how to live, making sense of the things that we are experiencing and organizing those experiences, of course, with the past, present, and future, but also organizing why this happened, when this happened, with whom this happens. It's like organizing all that information in files and then creates a larger context of everything. When we have lots of information in our mind, in ourselves, in our bodies, we can create the whole picture. We are not only looking into one word. If you see the word purpose, you are not only reading that word. At the same time that you are reading that, boom, images are coming, feelings are activated. And those feelings, memories, images are coming from the belief system, from all the information that we have around the word purpose. This is how we work. Where these beliefs are coming from. These beliefs are coming from our family history, from our culture, from the religion that we are following, from the example that we saw in our parents, through our own experiences, through society, through nature. Now we can add also internet, books, education. We can include everything, our job, our life experiences per se. But just to give you the whole overview of all the places, all the parts that are sending and giving information to ourselves. We need to be very careful to understand if what I believe belongs to me or my belief is coming from my religion, my family, my culture, my studies, my own experience, my society, a book, nature, internet. If this belief that I have is making me feel good, comfortable, and I feel that is aligned to my values, aligned to myself, then continue with that belief. But if it's something that is blocking you, disturbing you, limiting you, then you need to recognize it and then to release it. And we will talk about how. As you know, during the whole program, my invitation is to dig even more in yourself about emotions, about your reactions, about your relationships, about your past when you were a kid, about how you like to express yourself, which are your inner talents, your natural talents, how is your relationship with your body? Because we need to understand how we have been processing all that information. It is a non-stop work because every time that something triggers a not pleasant feeling or situation, we need to find which is the belief behind that. And behind the belief, which is the emotion, which is the thing that is triggering that belief. Is that belief coming from my own experience, or is that belief coming from my parents? Or is that belief coming from what I saw related to the parents? For an example that is very typical and that I see frequently in my sessions is our concepts of a couple. They are not only coming from what we watch in the TV shows or in the films. The main concept is coming from what we saw in our parents, how they behave as couple. And then we can understand why we react in the way we react, why we have the couple life that we have. Maybe we choose completely the opposite. Maybe we took the time to heal and then we realize that we have overpassed that. Maybe we are repeating the same patterns. That is why self-awareness and this path of introspection and inner connection belongs just to us because we have all those memories. We have all that information, detail by detail. The belief system process. And we've mentioned this. So we have an idea. We have a thought, a word, a moment, something that activates our mind, an image. And then this word, image, situation will activate an emotion. We will have a reaction, rather pleasant or unpleasant, or none. And then we will have a physical reaction, a physical feeling. Our body will experience something. If it's something disgusting, let's say, I don't like mouse. So when I see a mouse, my reaction it's immediately like yuck. No, I don't like them at all. And the feeling in my body, it's really like nauseous. Of course, what I am sharing, energetically speaking, it's like boom, rejection. This is happening all the time, every day, at every moment. This is why we said our life, it's our own creation. Because depending on all those thoughts, all those beliefs, is the emotion that a thought, a word, a relationship, a situation will react, what we are going to experience in our physical body, and what we are going to emanate, if I may use this word, through our energy. If you are feeling angry, boom, this will be shown, even if you are trying to hide it. Because the energy, it's going to say, boom, I am angry, I am sad, I am afraid. And if we go back into the vibrations, into the energy frequencies, that is what we're going to attract. This is why we are the only ones responsible of attracting what we are attracting. If we keep thinking about negative stuff, this is what we are going to create, negative stuff. And I am not talking about having a sad thought. We have the right to have them, but we need to understand where this is coming from, to accept it, to heal it, to deal with it in order to dissolve it. I am not saying, oh, switch off your thinking process into positive. That's impossible. We cannot only just think and create positive affirmations in our mind and like this magical things happen and then we change our whole lives. That's not true. We need first to embrace what we are thinking, digging where this thought is coming from, why it's hurting me, why it's disturbing me, which are the emotions that I am having, which are the physical reactions that I am feeling. And like this, I can avoid spreading that around my life. I want you to think about these limiting beliefs. How often have you been saying this to yourself or to somebody? You can repeat that to yourself or saying it out loud. I am not good enough. It only matters what others think. Maybe you use other words. This is just an example. I don't deserve to be loved. And maybe this one is a belief that it's not so obvious. And this is very related to childhood. If as a child you were not feeling safe and loved, you keep that belief that you don't deserve to be loved because when you were born or when you were a baby or when you were a kid, you were not supported and loved. And this is something that you will carry on through your whole life if you don't release it, if you don't heal it, if you don't transform it. I cannot trust others. This is very, very deep because it goes according to your own life experience as everything. But we need to understand if this is your own speech or if this is something that you have been listening from family members, from mom, from couples. We have a lot of limiting belief sentences that we use as a culture. Life is not fair. And we are growing and living our lives thinking that life is not fair. And we have that in our whole system, and we believe that. Of course, if we believe that, life won't be fair. I have no talents. I have no gifts. Of course you have. You are a perfect human being. All of us, we have talents. No one respects me. I am guilty. Life is tough. I am not worthy. And we can continue for the rest of our lives saying this kind of limiting beliefs because we have a lot. If you pay attention to one of your conversations, you will find a lot of limiting beliefs that you are saying. It's very interesting. And when you are with a friend and just listening to the speech, then you realize, I just catch myself saying, that's a limiting belief, that's a limiting belief, that's a limiting belief. Of course, I am not doing that all the time. Right? We realize how good are to make us feel bad. We are very good at that. Which are your beliefs about your body? Which are your beliefs about your career? About couples life? About success? About health? About money? About life? About self-care? About parenthood? If you are struggling with something, go and find the first thing that you need to find is which are my beliefs around that. That is the first thing to do. I really invite you to do this checkup. Which are my beliefs around these things? And you can include all the topics that you would like to include. But these are very important things in life. Of course, your body. Which are my beliefs around spirituality? Which are my beliefs around the emotions? Which are my beliefs about self-awareness? And where they are coming from. Are they really mine? Or it's because I was afraid? I had a lot of clients that they reject all the spirituality. And it's not because they are agnostic. They say that they are. But once they have one session, they realize, and I have a lot of people with this experience, they said, no, I don't believe in those things. No, I don't like those things. And you know why? Because they had very sensitive experiences when they were kids and they were afraid. Or someone said, no, that's not good. No, that's not good with your religion. No, those are things from hell, not from heaven. And boom, they block themselves and they make themselves completely irrational. It was not their own beliefs or their own experience. It was based on the fear of being different. We find a lot of beautiful things during this limiting beliefs, scratching or digging. I invite you to dig and to find out which are those beliefs that are really blocking you from that. And if you can change it, or maybe with that belief, it's when you realize where this is coming from, then that's the thing that is good for you. And you realize that you are good with continuing living with that belief, and that's okay. We don't need always to change, and we don't need always to be super positive about the body or super positive about the career. No, it's just accepting. If you accept that maybe you don't feel good enough at your career, I am not feeling good enough. Do I want to change? Or am I good as I am in this moment? I'm okay. Okay, so I will continue, but I know that I am not good enough. I don't feel comfortable enough. And that's okay. And I accept it. You don't always need to transform and to go for more and more and more. It's just accepting, which will make the difference and will give you peace.